welcome to 3 and Out on TV Piedmont Channel 60. I'm your host, Brian Carter, alongside Ryan Orlovsky. This episode will be a doozy as we do something we've never done before.
On the opening tip, we debate on the firing of Pittsburgh Penguins head coach Michel Therrien. We'll get to the emails on the 7th inning stretch, and on third down will be a great segment of our Sport by Sport Mount Rushmore. As always, if you have questions, comments, or topic requests, feel free to email us at 3andoutsports@gmail.com. All emailers receive a free 3 and Out pen.
Yeah, that's true. Remember to check out our MySpace page at www.myspace.com/3andoutsports or on YouTube. Head coach Michel Therrien of the Pittsburgh Penguins was fired after the team had come across hard times. The debate here is whether he should have been fired, seeing as he took the Pens to the Stanley Cup Finals last season. If you're wondering about my hair, by the way, this is just, I kind of wanted to grow it out and kind of get a mullet thing going. What do you think?
It works. It definitely works.
All right, back to the debate.
Well, many will say that the Penguins are struggling and are really not producing at this point in the season, and I have to agree with them. However, the Pens are still in playoff contention for the third consecutive season. Even though by no means are they playing up to their full potential, they currently stand at 30, 26, and 6 with 6 games remaining, putting them 1 game out of that final 8th playoff spot. They're without a doubt one of the most talented teams in the NHL, with guys like Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, and Stahl. But if you examine these players more closely, you'll see that a lot of them were hurt throughout the course of this season. Therefore, these are things that Therrien wasn't really responsible for. Gonchar has missed 56 games this season and recently returned to the lineup. His fellow defenseman Ryan Whitney has missed 36 games this year, and Fleury has been in net for just over 40 games this season. Sidney Crosby has been plagued by injuries throughout the season as well. So how can you say that this is Therrien's fault?
I mean, I think he should have been fired because they won only 13 of 34 games since December, capturing only 28 of a possible 68 points in that span. They went from being one of the second best team in the world to just being, far from being in contention. Maybe not in contention, but they were pretty far down in the standings. Even before this season, there were already problems with Therrien. There was a contract extension that he got, a 3-year deal in July, that now the team must eat. They should have thought about that beforehand, but he was already disliked by a lot of the players, and the coaching moves that he made were suspect. He had, as many know, he had a feud with Sidney Crosby, the team star, and any time that you have players not getting along with managers or coaches, it usually tends not to work out. Same with something like Shaq. When he was with Kobe and Phil Jackson, he kind of spurred with them a little bit, and then you saw that Shaq had to walk. Well, you don't want to lose the big star here, so, I mean, what choice do you have? You have to get rid of Therrien.
You can't forget all that Therrien did, though. I mean, he's responsible for one of the biggest turnarounds in NHL history by taking the Penguins to a 42, 24, and 11 record in 2006-2007. The Pens won 14 games the year before. That year, he was a finalist for the Jack Adams Award, which means he was one of the best coaches in the NHL that season. I mean, he got the Penguins off to a hot start this year just because they may have struggled a little bit, mainly due to injuries. You can't fire him for that because that is not his fault. He has proven what he can do.
Face mask on the defense. All right, look, maybe they should point the finger at Mario Lemieux. I mean, he's the minority owner. He wanted Marian Hossa on the team who played with the Thrashers. The general manager, Ray Shero, didn't, but he defended the move publicly anyways. And then, I mean, Shero wants to build methodically. He wanted to build through the draft. You just got to let the players play, the coaches coach, the managers manage, etc. And it's just that, as of late, as the time that Therrien was fired, they were 3-1 on the homestand, and that sounds great and everything, but it doesn't mean that much in the overall picture. I mean, because in the world of sports, it's not how are you playing now? It's what have you done for me lately? And Therrien, he did great, 94 wins over the past 2 seasons, and taking the team to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's great, but at the same time, it's a business. And what have you done for me lately? Well, Therrien not keeping his team at the top.
But there's so many factors that go into play here that aren't Therrien's fault. There's so many things that are out of his control. He's posted 14-6 playoff record last year, 27-25 record when he was fired. I mean, that's not a great record, but there's still 2 games over 500. He's leading them to a winning record, and he's done so for the past 3 seasons since he took over the reins. I mean, he beat the Senators, a team that absolutely killed the Penguins in the first round of the playoffs in 2007, and he beat them last season. He got the Penguins to their first Stanley Cup since 1992. I mean, these are all things that you have to take into effect when you fire a head coach like Michel Therrien. I mean, he really turned this hockey team around. He really he made Pittsburgh a hockey town once again by these 42 wins in consecutive seasons.
Well, do you think, as a Pittsburgh fan, was the final straw? I mean, obviously, I think it was the one against Toronto where they lost 6-2 on Valentine's Day. Not a good Valentine's Day for Therrien. Michel probably wasn't happy with that. But they were 7 games. You know, Toronto was 7 games under 500. So I mean, was that the final straw?
I mean, the Penguins got off to a hot start this year, and I think that definitely added to it. But I think the Penguins ownership kind of had their mind made up before that. I mean, had they won that game, I mean, I think he would have lived another day. But I mean, that was definitely, I don't really think it was a deciding factor, but it definitely contributed to it.
I don't really have much else to say. I just think when you have not much of a good relationship going on between the players and the coach, maybe you outwarm your welcome. That could be the case. I think maybe it was just time for him to be fired and move on. And again, I don't think maybe they wanted to re-sign him. You know, it took them a while to sign him back in July to that 3-year extension. I mean, maybe they were hesitant, and it seems like maybe they were stalling around because maybe they weren't sure if he'd stay around.
Well, the bottom line is that Therrien passed over the reins to interim head coach from Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and that's actually where Therrien came from before he came to the Penguins. So hopefully it's kind of foreshadowing good things for the Pens, and hopefully they'll get into the playoffs.
All right, sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and give out our game ball.
Well, while we're on the topic of the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm going to give my game puck to Sidney Crosby and his efforts in the win last night over the New York Islanders 1-0. Crosby had the lone goal, and he kept his team in playoff contention. Crosby has 79 points in 60 games this season, and that's tied for second in the NHL.
You don't have a game puck to throw. Hand me the football real quick. All right, my game ball is going to go to Brian Mandeville. Not many people know about this, but he played for the Northwestern University Huskies, who were 2-10 this past season. They have not had a winning season in 5 years. Anyways, this tight end gets a call. He gets an invite to the NFL Combine, which is very rare for a school like Northwestern University. But then he found out, amongst this dream come true, he takes a physical. Doctors tell him he has to retire before he ever gets a chance to start. It's a heartbreaker, literally, because they found a problem in his heart valve. It wasn't life-threatening, but it is career-killing. So my heart goes out to him, and my game ball goes to him. So if you thought that was interesting, just wait till you see what kind of shenanigans we get into in the 7th inning stretch. Stay tuned for more 3 and Out.